having a big problem over whether or not to spend $5 on a video game system I don't use. Um,
that was
that's
my
where we're at. Yeah.
that's where I was at with the Switch. I barely use mine. The only time I ever use it is playing Smash Brothers, and I also yeah I've never found anything too interesting to play on the Switch.
Well, you know what? How much? How much of a Nintendo kid would you say that you were? Because
Oh,
that the
dude.
Switch really is just a nostalgia machine
It
for
is
me.
yeah that's pretty much it. Like I mean, you get the $5 like what is it like $20 a year, and you get like all the
Oh my
access
god,
to the old
yeah.
games.
Which is basically that's the Game Pass. That's the Nintendo Game Pass version.
Oh,
And yeah, that's the version of Game Pass for Nintendo. And I think honestly, Nintendo might be the game service, whatever. I don't know. They all have problems. All those game streaming services or whatever.
yeah, all
Nintendo
the
Online isn't really streaming, but they do have streaming on that console.
game emulating,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
quote unquote. I'm gonna give this a light up, and then
Yeah,
I'm
be
gonna
right
do it.
behind you with that.
I'm gonna do a torchy, and then we'll get rolling here.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
packing. I'm packing some buds into the grinder right now.
Quacktastic. Oh man. By the way, dude, um what's your relationship with the game Fortnite?
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't played it.
You haven't played it? Okay. It's just
What do
something
you?
that I've got some buddies, some like people that play like all the flipping time, some like real carriers, if you will. And
Okay.
I've been playing with them lately, and I've been having a blast with it. I'm trying to, and I've been doing it on stream, so I've been trying to get some more people in on it.
Hmm. I'll check out.
Yeah,
I'll make a point to come and watch it at some point.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you do FPSs very often, or?
Not very often, and I always feel like this is something I feel weird about, but I'm not great in groups.
That's okay.
If there's like more than three people talking, like it starts to like
You're a little
I
overwhelming.
get very fractured. Like it really gets hard for me to pay attention to what I'm doing.
No, understood.
So that's just sort of a yeah.
I can
So I
totally
don't
get
know, but
that.
I mean, I'll watch and see how you guys are doing and stuff. But
Yeah,
I've had to say no to a lot of like, and you know what it is? It's, I mean, I feel like a lot of times it's when there's like, when I'm sitting here with headphones on
hmm
and there's like three people playing the same game and they're all just like spitting information back at one another, and like,
hmm
I just can't, yeah.
Yeah,
I have a lot of trouble following it and then a lot of trouble playing and then, yeah,
yeah.
all kinds of trouble.
I mean, I do that too. Like, I have a little bit of trouble with it too. It gets me a little bit anxious. Like,
Yeah.
just the sole fact of getting chased after somebody just gets me anxious. But like, um, I don't know. I've kind of found myself getting over it a little bit, which has been nice because like I generally don't play these types of games.
Let's do. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I will definitely view you streaming it, and then I'll let you know. I played a year or so, either during 2020 or wow. At some point during that whole thing, I played League of Legends for about a month, and that was a negative experience.
So yeah, yeah. I already exclaim my gripes about League of Legends. But alright, here I'm gonna go grab a drinky poo and then we'll get rolling. I'll be back.
All right. Oh, whoa. I assumed this would be like Raw because I haven't played it on PC before. It said continue. I don't know if that means I'm continuing. I would like to play it Raw. I would if there's going to be any tutorial. Oh, this looks like it's not Raw. Episode 3, Mutants Over Broadway. Oh, okay. There is some kind of reversal or something with one of the shoulders. It's like it's very similar to how the combat on Turtles in Time on SNES works. But there is a little, yeah, as you can see, I have a green bar that builds up. And oh god, and there's something I can either do or one of the shoulders does something and I don't recall. That's what I wanted the tutorial to tell me. I'm going to figure it out. I'm quite sure. Maybe if I let that green bar build up and not get fucking wasted. Oh, that might be my health. It might be that blue bar I'm worried about. Oh, look, I have a taunt. Oh, it's that. Okay. But I do have... Was this a... Oh, I have the taunt? There's one or two things that's different from... of course, SNES... Turtles in Time is what I'm most familiar with. Of course! I swear to God they do it on purpose. The second I'm dead, the pizza floats by. I think that was my biggest observation the day that I spent with this game when it came out in the spring or whatever. As soon as I'm dead, the pizza floats by. I think they must. I would like. I almost feel like it's a joke. It's programmed in there. Like, oh, you almost had the pizza. What's that fancy? I feel like I've got a special look at uppercuts sometimes. Or maybe it just sometimes I see the enemy flashing and I think I'm doing a flashy thing.
I'm sorry, I've been talking this whole fucking time. I have this on mute.
All right, good job.
Yay!
What were you saying?
Professional. I was asking if you were ready to go.
Oh
and,
yeah, I'm ready whenever.
you're
I'm
just going
rocking.
into.
I'm in the zone.
I was gonna say you're in the zone. I didn't want to interrupt, but
Yeah, no, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's tell. What are we talking about today?
all
What's
right.
going on?
Well, all right. Well. First of all, as always, greetings, salutations, welcome to Thought That Was Weird. I'm Thrash Keishu, and of course, here as always, kicking some. Is that the new Ninja Turtles game or?
Yeah, I think it's new as of the spring. A bunch of turtle stuff released this year. I don't know what is what, but this came out in the spring.
I don't know,
So it definitely counts as new, that's for sure.
but that's really rad. But yes, of course, here is CuyaDK.
What's up?
Bring it on. Uh, yeah. So welcome, gang. Hope you're all chilling, and hopefully y'all are staying warm out there in the central
Oh
states. I know
man,
it's getting. Yeah, it's coming.
the big freeze is here.
Oh, it's coming. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I forgot no logos. I don't want Carhartt suing me or something,
Oh yeah.
despite the fact that I like their product and it's made in my state. uh, but yeah. For continuity purposes, I apologize. Kuya and I have ended up switching bodies, and that's okay.
Oh yeah,
You know,
there's no solution.
no, and that's okay. And that's what we will have a
This script is
solution.
very annoying to work with.
You know what? We might have a solution.
All right.
Um, maybe once we start hitting space, we'll and we start doing some traveling, we'll get things rolling. I'm sure we'll be able to uh yeah, we'll be able to figure this out, man.
Awesome.
So today we're going to be talking about the book by CM, that is excuse the pronunciation, Sevdet Mehmet Kosemen, who is a
Wow.
Turkish researcher and artist, did a book called All Tomorrows,
Yes.
a billion year chronicle.
Turkish.
Yes, a billion year chronicle of the myriad species and mixed fortunes of man. This was released in October of 2006.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got the red shirt on today, or is that not?
Yeah, you got the red shirt guy today.
Oh, but I didn't used to have the red one.
I don't think you used to have the red one.
Oh, okay.
Unless we somehow switched it. Unless I somehow like
I mean,
reversed
if you
it.
really wanted the quick I mean, I know
Well,
this doesn't matter. Now, see, this is now I'm
well,
stuck
well,
on
well,
one
well, well,
stupid
well,
thing.
well it's because like down below, I had our names below our characters.
Oh,
So
and now it does.
now
Okay.
you're thrashing on Kuya.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's okay.
okay.
Yeah, well,
Because you could really the element. What you could do is just drag the
yeah,
elements that are the heads.
I could switch them
Yeah.
around, but it was like
But
going back
obviously,
and
who cares? I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. You
I'll
mentioned it,
fix
so
it.
now I have to. Now I have to purview it and weigh in. And
Yeah, I'll just make sure to fix it for next time. But
oh, wow, is that how I sound?
uh,
Do I sound a little like overdriven to you?
oh
I feel like I've worked it out on my stream, but
well,
I
here
don't know
let
about
me
on Discord.
well, let me turn you down just a touch then.
Oh, that might be yeah.
Yeah, I gave you a little bit of a kick. Do I sound any means distorted
You
or
sound good to me. Let
okay,
me take a
cool.
look at your stream again and say
Okay.
some things.
Yeah. Wow, you think you sound a little overdriven on your stream?
No, I feel like I had to kind of turn things down
Oh.
on my stream because everything I had turned everything uh I had turned everything up because my previous mic was slowly dying.
All right.
So now that this one is new, everything that I had turned up is super high. So maybe if you've turned me up in the past, like I feel like yeah,
I
I
see.
feel like not only are my settings were super high, but other people's because I just when I went to look at the stream, when I actually loaded it, I heard it for a second and it sounded like I was anyway.
Yeah, no
We're
worries.
all doing our best as
Yeah,
always.
we all try our best, just like so today I thought we'd take a little trip
All
through
right,
time and
great.
space.
Yeah.
And again, just like doing our best, I hope you can forgive me. So today's space travel mechanism is this machine here.
All right, the
So
device.
we got the device here. We've got our toaster time machine here.
All right,
So
good.
yeah. So hopefully, like, I've never used a toaster as a time machine before, but you know the guy at the store said it was worth it, so I went in and splurged. Uh, you know, even though it was the cheapest model, as he said, but yeah, you know, hopefully it'll do us
Anything
some
with
good.
really tightly coiled circuits
Mm,
will will
I don't know.
will bust through the time curtain.
I don't know. He said something about going 88 miles per hour in it, and I'm still not certain if that's going to be plausible. But you know, either
You
way.
have to. I think that if it's a toaster, you have to put the toaster into a vehicle that it's not going to go 88 miles by itself.
Oh we'll figure out once we get in there. You ready to hop in? Well, here I'll let you rip that bowl really quick, and then we'll hop in the vehicle. All right. Because they also said no smoking in the vehicle, so I want to
Oh,
make
all
sure
right,
that we
okay.
get the
No
deposit in.
smoking in the toaster is a good
No
idea.
smoking in the
That
toaster.
makes
All
sense.
right. Okay, so let's hop
Yeah.
in. Okay, so all right, we're in the vehicle. You ready to get going? This is gonna be quite of a trip.
I'm into this. I'm into it.
All right.
Let's take off.
Okay. Hold on. Let me see if I can find the right buttons here. All right, you ready? We're gonna go through space and
All right,
time.
I can't wait.
3, 2, 1. Hands up. I'm being spaghettified. Ah.
That is very mathematical. This is some adventure time shit.
We're getting turned into spaghetti and
Where's
things.
how far into the future are we
Oh,
going to travel through
oh well.
this rainbow road?
Well, we're gonna be traveling through time and space up until about a couple thousand years ahead of our time, our own time.
A couple thousand years. Okay, that's
Hmm.
not that many. That's like an afternoon's.
No, but by
That's like a
then,
day trip. You
but
can
but
go there and back.
but be mindful that once we get out of this time loop, we will be up to date with the genetic modifications of the time. So I hope you're ready. All right,
I chose the video game that had to do with mutants.
so that's the deal, man. All right. So here we go. We're gonna go. I'm punching in to get out of the time warp here, and whoa, jeez,
Thought that was weird, by the way, is on Tuesdays at 5:30 Eastern
five
Standard
thirsty,
Time.
five thirsty.
CuyaDK and exclamation point thrash twitch.tv/thrash kshu. Here we are.
Yeah. Welcome. And again, I initially meant to so as you can see, we've you know evolved for the times of
You
man
see,
here.
yeah. Unfortunately, I have my chat on. Did we both evolve in the same way? Because I see a piece of a tentacle. I
Well,
can see you, but my
we
chat is over my body. But I'm gonna move it in a
we
second.
both evolved in some manner. We both obviously got
Oh, I
tentacles
love
now.
it. Okay, it looks great.
And
Yeah,
and and
I love the tentacles.
and
I'm
then
into it.
I so apparently through time and space I'm able to I've somehow evolved into having these wings here, which is also my
Yeah,
brain. Uh,
but on the head. Yeah, not
mhm.
normally wings are attached
and,
to the torso.
and initially I was hoping to have you know this particular evolution, but Kuya ended up getting the baguette sphincter that propels
Oh,
you through
the
space.
baguette. Yeah, I didn't even notice the baguette. Is it leaving a trail of slime? That's very upsetting. Are
No,
we allowed to do this?
it was meant to be like
TOS on baguette simulated organ. I didn't even. I thought I was sitting on some kind of stool or post. I didn't
uh,
even notice the baguette.
I tried to put like three little exhausts at the end because I didn't want to
Oh,
get
yeah, it looks
TOS
like a
for
happy
making like a
little face.
butthole or something.
Oh, like it is smoking farts.
Like it's
Yeah.
blowing little toots to get you through space.
Okay, that's great. I'm glad that I don't have to make the decision whether or not this is TOS. See, the fucking second I'm dead, there's a pizza like around the corner. I think the
Don't you
game is
hate it?
playing a joke on me. I think it's a joke
There's
because it's every single time, unless I'm
it's a
just like
troll.
right below the curve the way I'm playing,
I
which
mean,
is
yeah.
pretty pretty likely.
I mean, developers have been known to do like little trolly things like that.
It would be funny if that was the joke. Every time you die, they put the pizza there. It's almost making me feel like that's the case.
um. All right.
What year is it?
So we are thousands of years in the future in the
Oh,
indiscernible time. Uh.
okay.
But uh. But
Our
basically,
history is forgotten.
well, no. We're still remembering, like, everybody remembers when JFK died and everything else.
Oh,
But
so
but
we know what year it is? I guess is that what?
not necessarily, no. It's somewhere
Okay,
thousand,
okay,
just
okay.
somewhere within the thousands
It's
of
not
years
like
into the
yeah, okay. It's okay.
uh so it is at this point that mankind decides that it wants to proceed to Mars. And
Great, let's go.
yeah, mankind prepares. And at the time, Earth's population is about 12 billion people, and again, the resources are starting to dwindle. Uh, Things are still looking dicey on the planet, but there's still prosperity. Uh, they basically decide to colonize and terraform Mars, and uh, they, in this kind of Noah's Ark sort of manner, begin transferring, like, after years of research, begin transferring, almost like, a Noah's Ark type, deal of animals over to Mars, uh, as well as a whole bunch of flora. Uh, Basically, and it was at this point also that there was not enough resources on Mars to make trips back to Earth. So it was pretty much,
Oh,
once you made your way to Mars, that was game over.
that's where you were. Yeah,
That's where
yeah,
you
yeah.
were.
We were going one way. There
Yeah,
wasn't yeah.
but yeah,
Who would
basic
want to live on Earth anyway?
exactly. um, but they basically started off in these domes, and once they terraformed Mars, the first people that were to set foot onto the planet were these people that are in the whiteboard here. These are the Martian Americans. These are the
Martian Americans.
the initial um uh group of folks that ended up colonizing the terraformed Mars. Um, so in those years, Mars does pretty okay. Mars does all right, and yet it's still considered to be kind of like uh the I guess the Louisiana of sorts. It's not very
The
highly held.
Louisiana of the solar system.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not very highly held. It's considered almost hickish because most of the people are mostly mining resources within the planet, and are basically work. It's basically a worker colony. I would probably say it's more
Sure.
like, it's more like Space Australia, except they're not, like, criminals. Um, but it's considered underdeveloped and lower class. Uh, but the Martians begin kind of perceiving their own identity, and they begin kind of propagandizing that identity in uh, a sort of a manner kind of similar to the American Revolution, from what I've understood. Um, but again, it was through years of evolution that we end up developing these, that mankind developed into these Martian Americans here. Their faces are elongated due to the low gravity of Mars. Their bodies were long and lanky. And again, the other thing I forgot to mention is that CM Kosemen painted all of these. All of these pictures that I'm going to show you all today,
Are
CM Kosemen
painted by the author.
painted by the author himself. Uh, so,
Yeah, by the way, anyone listening on my end should type exclamation point thrash if you would like to see the visuals.
hmm, uh, where did I leave off? So, but basically, it was due to there was basically a lot, like, Earth is doing pretty well, and then they can kind of see that Mars is, like, picking up the pace, and they're developing at a exponential pace.
Sure.
Earth is kind of weary of that, and so it kind of becomes like a sort of racial difference between
The
the
Martians.
Martians and the Earth people.
Doesn't it always?
I don't know.
Isn't there always conflict between the Martians and the Earthmen?
And it's of course due to resources, but basically
Of which there is never enough.
never enough for anybody. But at the end of the day, Mars revolts, and it's within this time period that Mars, being as progressed as they are, began using media to propagandize their stances within their cosmos and their intentions going forward um, as a planet. Uh, they make films, media to persuade Martian natives. It was I think I've made a note here. Uh, it was it was to persuade Martian natives to fight for their culture in a Fox News sort of manner.
Oh, oh, okay. Oh, it was a culture war. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and it was at after thousands of years of kind of this quiet schism within the factions of Earth and Mars. Earth begins to start really feeling the pain of industrialization and overpopulation still. Um, and after thousands of years, Martians are pretty much doing better than Earth, and they're like, you know what, you guys can sink or swim. We're done helping y'all out. And
Wait, Fox News saved him?
pretty much the
Are you sure
Martian.
that's what you want to be saying?
Well, that's what they said. That's what they said. But
I
but the
gotcha.
Martians are like it's like sink or swim, Earth. We're building a wall and basically banned all non-essential trade and travel with the Earth. Earth economy falters and dwindles.
Probably had a lot of assholes living on it.
Probably. It was like three-quarters of a yearly income loss for the entire planet.
Oh,
Uh,
Jesus.
and the way the book explained space war was kind of interesting. They said that it was a slow, calculated, um, instead of it being these elaborate space battles and things like that, because
Yeah.
of the means of travel
Length
that
of time.
the length of
Yeah.
time and the means of travel that they had in um, themselves, they were only able to develop, and go so fast. And so space war was pretty slow and calculated. More often than not, uh, they were like drone strikes rather than strikes with people in them.
Sure.
Uh, but yeah, the combatants were usually autonomous machines that maximize damage while sustaining as little of a loss as possible. But at the end of the day, the war takes 8 billion lives.
How many people are alive?
There was 12 billion to begin with,
So we're down to 4
give or take.
on
And
2 planets. So
yeah, they hit each other
4
pretty
total.
fucking hard. It went
So
heavy
that's
duty.
like okay. That's more people than are alive right now.
Hmm. And then
Okay.
this leads us into these folks, the Star People. So mankind and the Martians came to a settlement for the sake of, as they put it, quote unquote, biological superiority in the galaxy. Again, more Fox Newsy stuff,
All
but
right. Yeah.
but still, true. Uh,
Gotcha.
Martians, over the course of evolution and interbreeding with humans, have practically become a different species, um, and thus developed these beings, the Star People. And these people, again, still maintaining some sort of resemblance to humankind, they were able to last long traverses through space and were also a little more intelligent than their predecessors. Um, uh, but yeah, what was it? War to Terra. So and it was due to this like massive like kind of space industrial boom. The Martians as well as the Star People began to um, expeditiously take over these planets, and they are able to colonize and terraform Venus, asteroids, and the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. And that leads us into their colonization, and this is what the chapter is called: colonization and mechanical edipi, which is
Mechanical what?
like Oedipus complex, like edipi.
Oh, Edipi. Okay. All right. Sure.
and this like again, this whole thing's fucking weird and it gets super interesting, and the things that we're introduced to is wild.
What year was this written? This is a novel
Yes,
or a long piece of writing?
this was like
Yeah.
a art piece with
These
text included.
illustrations.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But this was written in 2006.
All right.
But uh
I almost thought this might be something from like the 70s.
oh no. But no, this is like
But cool.
but I figured this would be up your alley. This is kind of pushing on some
Oh, it
Hyperion
is.
territory.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Hmm.
This is everything so far is you could have been telling me is some kind of Hyperion world building because it sounds very similar.
Hmm.
Especially the way, that the problems arose because people were evolving in different directions and there were,
Hmm.
the spacers and then the people on old Earth who were assholes.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
it
actually,
very so far the premise is
there are a group of characters called Spacers down the way. But yeah,
Oh, it's not
that's
these
interesting.
guys.
I don't know if
Is
there's
it
any
just the
comparison.
space people.
But well, we'll get to it because there's an interesting evolution into the
Okay.
spacers and their the and their descendants after that are very interesting. But so it was considered to be very adventurous that Martians were trying to expand to distant stars, but were not necessarily able to do the speed of light sort of like Star Trekky stuff yet.
All right.
But
Okay.
so
Speed of light is that's a tough nugget to crack for every advanced
oh yes.
species.
So instead, what they did was they would they initially tried like generational
Oh,
ships.
sure. Yeah, 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 yeah. Of
They tried
course, that's the
generational
first
ships.
step. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But they generally came
Smart.
undone to technical difficulties and to mutinous anarchy. So it would generally like usually
It wouldn't be people would not
people weren't
they
getting
wouldn't be
along.
able to maintain a society for generations that
Yeah,
could maintain a ship. And also imagine technology changing in that time. I mean, I guess I don't know if you're on a ship going to a I mean, I can't even I'm not a spaceship engineer, so
yeah, neither am I.
no, I don't know enough to comment, but it sounds like a lot.
Um, that's wild. Like well, I just got a very disturbing text message here.
Oh, I hate getting those.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah,
I'm sorry that that's happening.
that's okay. Well, I'll try to hustle through this and I'll get
No,
to
I
it.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I hate. I mean, take your time if you need to respond or something. But I often get disturbing text messages.
yeah, that wasn't a good text message to read.
Shit.
Um,
Yeah, if you need to
yeah, hold on. Oh yeah, hold
take a break,
one
go
second.
ahead.
Yeah, I'll be right back. 1 second. Sorry,
Okay.
gang.
Shit. Yeah. I like his away screen. Getting, yeah, unpleasant and suddenly surprising and upsetting text messages is something I'm sure familiar with. I'm feeling good. Tomorrow, a few things, a little bit of, I gotta go see if I can get tires. A tire, we'll see. A little bit of driving around, and I think I'm ready for Christmas, and everything is cool. Talk to Iggy on Thursday, maybe a couple other things by the end of the week.
All right, sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody just told me that they found a lump on the back of their neck, and it sounds to me like
Ah,
telling them go to a doctor immediately.
yes.
does not sound
A
good.
completely undiagnosed lump? Yes, go to the doctor immediately.
Yes. Um. So, anyways, I'm sorry. So, the space people here. Um. They initially started sending off, generational ships and things that would, they would in groups that they would hope would last, the long treks through space and are able to colonize other planets. They then uh kind of substituted that for having these almost like DNA um these sort of like DNA generator things that would basically
Okay.
incubate a another star person uh
Okay. Yeah.
through by means of genetic mutations and
You
machine.
know what a lot of this also sounds like? It also, which Hyperion is a lot like. This also sounds a lot like a lot of the things in Dune.
Oh, really? I actually have not read Dune or seen
Oh
Dune.
yeah, there's definitely whoever the Bene Gesserit are. They're one of the they're one of the important groups in the movie anyway. But there's the Bene Telax or something that grow each other or clones of themselves in pods or whatever. Yeah,
I don't think I've
they
heard of
grow
that.
each other in pods. But a lot
They
of
grow
the
each other
things,
in
and even like the spacer kind of stuff, the whole idea of you needing to be some kind of mutant in order to navigate space or travel through space is in all of these. Yeah, in all the things I've mentioned, Dune, Hyperion, and this.
pods. That's interesting.
Really, Hyperion is a lot like Dune. I think if we're really gonna, yeah,
Yeah,
nail anything down.
that's definitely a book I really need to get down on. Like I need to get to reading that. It's like a honking big book, ain't it?
Dune, I have not read it, and it is honking big.
Fair enough.
Watching the movies is enough for me. There's like a ton of them.
uh, so anyway, so these test tube Martians that are sent off into
Yeah.
the cosmos, um, they would eventually would terraform these planets and create these societies, and it's within these societies they kind of figure out that these robots have been like making these test tube babies that are them,
Okay.
and so they
Yeah, yeah,
end up
yeah.
getting sentimental towards them and believe that they're like their parents or like a god of sorts, and they begin praising these things and began losing contact with Earth and basically flat out saying screw you, I'm here with my creator, get bent. And in a lot of these societies ended up like falling apart and
My AI creator.
yeah, really. Yeah, they
Humanity is really at a dark crossroads right now. Everything that all of this science fiction shit we talk about
mm,
is like shit that's gonna be going down 5 years from now. AI created cloned humans growing in vats. You know it. AI trained mutants that constructed, designed to be able to pilot spaceships to Mars. We're in bad trouble.
oh yeah. But after these attempts, half it was found that half of these colonial attempts were lost due to these
Okay.
like overthrows because of this Oedipus complex, as the book put it.
Oh right. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, although despite this does still help, you know, mankind, like humankind's like reach across space, and they end up like covering an entire arm of the galaxy. Um, in this chapter, the summer of man. Uh,
The Summer of Man.
yes, but basically these quote unquote machine prophets, the machines that make the test tube babies and their offspring,
Yeah.
begin evolving and doing as well as any regular human could have ever, evolved. Humankind is doing so well. Most individuals had more wealth in culture and economic stature than most nations did in our times.
All right.
So people are doing really well. This is like the golden years. This is like the prosperity time. And of course, with prosperity comes
Despair.
despair. And it is through one of these due to these this again increased enlightenment that these researchers end up finding the remnants of a dinosaur derived creature on a distant planet. And mind you, this dinosaur derived
Okay.
creature had to have come from Earth. And it seemed to have been tried to have been, and this is mind you light years away, but
Okay.
it seemed to have been um, used to be introduced onto this planet, onto this like random world. And
Like a Kakarot,
what's a
like
Kakarot?
a weapon.
No.
Kakarot is Goku.
Oh
You
yeah,
you
no, no.
know,
Oh no, not like
not like introduced, but okay. Well, I'm sorry, I
oh,
didn't
oh,
mean to interrupt.
oh no, it's okay. But it's basically there was they had seemed to have found that otherworldly beings were taking animals without their knowledge and
Oh, we're
like past
taking animals.
were taking animals in
Okay.
past times, almost in the whole like abducting cows like conspiracy thing. It seemed
You
that
know,
hmm?
you know what happened on Star Trek?
No, it happened on Star Trek.
Some dinosaurs built a spaceship and they settled another planet, and then on that other planet they start like they're a whole nuclear society, a whole society, a whole spacefaring society. I don't know if they lost or if anyway, like thousands of years went by until the point where this other world that they had come from, the Earth, was like a legend, and mankind and the Earth was this religion that ended up getting outlawed. Like you weren't allowed to talk about old Earth where we once traveled from as baby dinosaurs.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they like outlawed. Speaking of, yeah,
Mankind.
the distant origin. The distant origin is what. Yeah, you weren't allowed to speak of the distant origin
Oh man.
because whatever the people that were in power, it was really important to them that the dinosaurs, believed that they came from this planet, and for whatever reason,
Mhm.
something like that.
Okay. That's interesting. Much in the same manner of like um, like the disallowing of teaching of evolution in schools and things like
Of
that.
course, yeah. It's like
Okay.
that. It's like that. It's considered heresy. Yeah,
Ah.
it's considered ridiculous. Like, don't come in here and tell my kids that we came from a different planet, please. It's like, yeah, it's that kind of shit. It's like ancient alien shit.
No, ancient alien shit.
It is. Yeah, the distant origin theory. Yeah, you're not. It's very frowned upon, and it turns out to be true. And Voyager goes there.
Fascinating. Oh, so they find out that that there's a being that was unknowingly taking animals from Earth and putting it on other planets to see if they could, withstand it.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, and that is where we are introduced to. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot to set up my myself here. This is where we are introduced to the Q.
The Q, yes, okay, I know about the Q. You, I mean, you know what?
Mm,
I mean,
very similar to the. Although very similar to the sarcastic, intergalactic,
good. I'm glad I didn't have to say it.
yeah, very similar to that
uh,
Q.
what's
Um,
that guy's name? John Delancey.
yeah, that dude's rad. I like that guy.
Yeah, that dude's rad as fuck. He's on Breaking Bad.
Oh, is he?
Oh yeah.
I can dig it. I like Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I like
Uh,
that guy.
but the Q are a bug-like creature, and they're basically like a group of galactic nomads that go across the galaxy and find beings that are below themselves and turn them into their pets and do genetic experiments on them. And they are considered to be the masters of genetic manipulation. And in the book, they're quote unquote self-imposed harbingers of future.
So less like, well, not quite like the Dominion, and really not quite like the Q either.
It's
Really, their own fucking thing.
almost
Then is this mostly? Is it for science that they turn people into other things mostly? They
uh
want to see what happens, or do they think it's fun?
personal amusement.
Oh,
Personal
really? It
amusement.
is. It is. They love turning things into other things. The
They're a
Q.
vile locust in the galaxy.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh,
Um,
okay. These are bad guys.
but basically, yeah, these are technically bad guys, but the Q make themselves known to mankind because
Okay.
because the Q are pissed the uh, that the space people are trying to go explore the galaxy and try to take over more worlds than them, try to be better than them, it is considered a slap in their face that humankind even tried. Um, so it is at this point that the Q began doing these experiments and using the space people on all these different worlds. They basically conquered them all and turned them into these test subjects. And over thousands of years, practically destroy all of any form of humankind. And basically, all that was left were genetically mutated. They erected monuments for themselves, like basically like claim these planets as their own. Uh, and the Q would just basically go planet to planet, genetically modifying people over and over again through like thousands of years of like torture, practically. But the thing is that like at the end of the day, mankind's like humanity, like the general concept of like humanity within the DNA, within like our DNA, is still within all of these genetically modified creatures. So they still have a chance of some form of like sentience.
Okay.
Um,
A chance at sentience.
yes, but the Q just basically steal all their resources and just absolutely devastate them. And basically, most of the rest of All Tomorrows is discussing these horrible mutations, how they evolved, as well as how they ended up trying to seek out the Q and trying to destroy them. So it starts off with the worm people.
Okay.
So these are, just as you would think, they live just like earthworms. They lived underground in these like little underground tunnel cities for thousands of years. They had little beady
Oh.
eyes at the tops of their
Oh,
head.
they look like the baguette.
They look like a baguette. Yes, they look like a baguette.
There's gonna be some kind of like running baguette
we
theme.
we gotta keep running with baguette.
Okay.
It's
These guys look the all right. So the baguette men.
the baguette men are yeah, they're underground people because the cube basically turned their planet's surface so hot that it became unbearable for them to live on the surface. So they would live underground, create these little societies and underground cities. Um, yeah, they do fairly well for them. They do okay for themselves. The only problem is that all they do is eat and fuck. Uh, and,
As you do when you're a baguette.
and sometimes as being a baguette, it was indiscernible for other baguettes whether or not they would either eat another one when they encounter another one or fuck it. So sometimes they would eat their own kind. It was a pretty pretty heavy process for these folks. And these next ones, I think you might dig these cats. So next ones we got are the Titans. Titans are these 40-meter tall like monstrosities. They're basically mutations of the star people. Uh, they have these elephantine front feet that
Okay.
and evolved like a trunk,
Oh
much like
yeah.
very much like an elephant.
Is it a trunk tongue?
It's like an actual like an
It's a
appendage
trunk
onto their.
lip.
It's like a trunk
Yeah.
lower lip appendage. Um, uh, it basically lasts a decent amount of time, but after a while, they basically die out and are just never seen again. They did not last very long in the evolutionary process. Uh, next, oh shoot, oh shoot, I forgot one. I forgot to add a picture here. Shoot, that's no good. We
Uh,
gotta have the mantellopes.
we have to have the Mantelope.
We have to have the
There,
mantelope.
there's no, you cannot describe. I mean, if you think that we must have the Mantelope,
We have to have the mantelope.
yes.
It has to happen. Uh, hold on one second. Let me get this pulled up here. All right, perfect. My apologies. And here we are, the mantelope.
Okay. Oh yes. Oh yes. I definitely needed to see this.
Yes, this is an
That
important one.
definitely. This image definitely needed to be inside of my head. Thank you. I'm glad that I'm glad that the Mantelope was not overlooked.
It's important. Is especially important because these animals, well, these ex-humans died in a or kind of became extinct in a very harsh manner. They were initially bred to be like memory keepers for the queue. They were basically
Oh,
like I wrote down here in my notes a la the Flintstones.
the
Much like yeah,
Flintstones.
you know how you would have like the talking bird recorder. You would say something to it, and then you would
Oh, okay,
yeah,
it would remember.
it would remember
Yeah,
and record things for you. It was very much in that same manner that these mantelopes were used. Giraffe
the
like.
Mantelopes.
And the sad thing is that they were one of the first like human creatures to gain some sort of sentience and understanding of their existence. And what makes it sad is that they would sing these beautiful songs and were able to remember things for people, but were nonetheless like very weak creatures and could not withstand you know the evolution of all the other creatures, as well as especially once the queue left. So like it's after like thousands and thousands of years, the queue just basically say screw it all, like we're gonna move on to the next thing and ruin somebody else's life. you know uh but eventually it is due to how like dumb these animals were made and were bred, that they forget how to sing, and they also forget their scent, like they have any sort of awareness of their predicament, and they end up yeah, again, just kind of faltering to all the other carnivores within mankind that lived on
Oh,
those planets. Very very sad story of.
they fell prey to various predators of long-necked beasts. A lot of they put them on planets with vampires. I'm sorry, that's very stupid.
And then next we have the swimmers.
Easy prey for anything that predates upon a neck. Jesus, these are awful illustrations.
I
By
know,
awful, I mean
dude.
upsetting to look at.
They only get worse
They,
and only get
remember, you recall when I explained to you the uncanny valley?
yeah,
Things that have like a human face or almost a human face,
yeah.
really? Oh.
Yeah, it's very. That's like
No.
pretty much all these creatures have like
Yeah.
these sort of
The human,
subtle
you can
human
see
faces.
the remnant of the humanity,
Yes,
and therein lies the horror.
yes, that's the absolute most petrifying part of it. So these ones are called swimmers. There's like there's basically a whole limitless varieties of fish that were bred for the enjoyment of the queue,
The queue.
whether they were kept in aquariums or if they were used for food stock. Um, Most of the swimmer type X humans ended up becoming extinct. Uh, and what's interesting is that you can see like the ones that withstood the test of evolution, they have like these hand-like flippers. Like it's stated in the book that their hands were actually like evolved with like slight webbing, and their feet
Oh, sure.
like
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
split apart and turned into fins.
Little beluga whale men.
Little beluga whale men. Um, but yeah, they basically they were they basically evolved out, but they would um end up becoming a very important portion of the story later on. But we'll get to the swimmers or the evolution of the swimmers. It's like Pokemon. It's hilarious.
Yeah, 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 yeah. This is human Pokemon.
Human Pokemon.
Pokehuman.
Pokehuman. And then we have these folks. These are the lizard herders.
Oh wow,
Uh,
they almost look like men.
mm-hmm. These are probably one of the more closer looking, you know, folks. They were, hairy, just like regular human beings were. Um, were kind of like a herder, like farmer types, very nomadic. Uh, the Q, despite the fact that they, were able to kind of coexist with, their lizard pets, so to speak. The Q had stunted their brains like
Oh
to
great.
to an extreme level,
Of
um,
course they did.
so that they could never truly learn anything again. They did not regain any sort of sentience after the Q left.
They should have given this guy a Star Trek show
And
to write.
yeah,
Seriously.
it's a very interesting concept in the end of the
Yeah.
day. But yeah, they didn't regain sentience. Eventually, through thousands actually, I think they said it was millions of years of evolution, the reptiles became smarter than the human,
Oh, smarter than the men? Yes.
and they began slipping away, and the basically the lizard herders themselves began kind of slipping away into an evolutionary obscurity, and we will come back to these folks later. Oh, will we
Okay,
ever
cool.
come back to these folks later?
Oh yeah, these folks get good.
Oh yeah, those folks get good too. All of these get very interesting. So this right here is known as a temptor.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
What the fuck is that? Jesus.
So the
That's
larger
something out of a David Lynch movie.
the larger creature here is as you can see is buried half
It lures you into its butthole.
well, not necessarily. Is buried half underneath in the ground and half above the ground. This is a female temptor, and
The little guy?
the little guy, no, the big one. To the right,
Oh, okay, gotcha, 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 gotcha.
is a drone temptor or a male temptor. Then they kind of have this sort of like bee like society in the sense that they
Yes.
that or what's it called when you have a female dominant society?
Matriarchy.
Matriarchal society. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the females rule all and the men go around and
The
get
men
food scraps,
fuck.
and the men come up and fuck to make more men to fuck. um, they were noted in the book as female. The females were 2 meters tall, flesh cones buried halfway in the ground, and were carnivorous. Uh, while the males were tiny bipedal monkey-like creatures. The males have no will and are forced to menial tasks. Females would mate with the dumbest males to create more dumber drones to do things for them.
Yeah. Breed
Um,
out intelligence. Intelligence is not a survival trait.
and as much as their society did fairly well for themselves, it turns out a stray comet flies in and destroys their planet.
Oh, that's very sad.
Yeah, c'est la vie. Just random, you know, ferret beings that, just eat other ferret beings and fuck the dumber ones. Anyway, so next up we have the Bone Crushers. So
Oh God, God, what
I
the
know,
fuck?
right?
What the fuck?
So initially these breeds of animals were used for or these breed of ex-humans were used for pets. They were
All right.
thoroughly pampered, very
Weird
much.
pets for weirdos.
Yeah, they were
All right.
thoroughly
Weird
pampered, very
pets
much.
for weirdos.
Yeah. Oh, they were. Oh, is that doubling
Oh,
up on your end? Or is that me? Oh wait. Oh,
doubling up?
oh, that's me. Sorry. Yeah, the sound
Wait,
was
you
doubling up for a second. That was my fault. I was like,
oh,
what?
yes. Oh, did you look at the stream or something?
I had your stream
Oh, okay.
on a pop up, and for some reason
It started playing audio.
it started playing the audio again. I don't know why.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah, I was wondering. I could tell that something had
that
happened
threw
that you were getting distracted by.
that threw me off for a second. Uh, so the Bone Crushers were practically like the Doberman Pinchers of the
Yeah, right. Yeah.
of
You
the
know,
ex-human
pincher it
world.
means biter.
Yes.
So
So
yeah,
they're 3 meters
these look
tall,
like real
hairy.
biters.
Yeah, they were hairy, had claws, and were and had beaks that they would use to, of course, crush bones. Uh, the initial set of the species, maintained intelligence and some sort of civilization after the Q had left, but eventually, um, due to overeating and this sort of like medieval,
Over bone crunching.
yeah, and sort of a medieval society that they initially established, um, it basically ruined their survival and they died out. And then let's see, who do we have next here? Oh, oh, you're gonna love this one.
Oh yeah, I like these guys. The next one is good.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I know you're a fan of homogeneous blobs, so this is gonna be
Oh,
very.
I like blobs.
I know.
big
So
fan, big fan of blobs. I love talking. Oh God.
yes,
Oh yeah. You know what? I've seen this image.
yes. So
This image is around. Yeah. Okay.
so
One of them is swinging a hole.
yeah. So these are the colonials.
Okay, these are the blobs.
So the colonials were a fairly a fairly advanced race to begin with, before the Q arrived, and then once the Q had tried to take them over, they turned them away twice. They were so advanced. The
Oh.
but the and so the Q was felt fairly burnt by this, and so once they ended up like gaining control of the colonial planet, they're like, all right, you shits, we're gonna make y'all are gonna pay the worst, basically. Like, you fucked with us, and now we're gonna like fuck you.
Yeah.
Um, they were basically made into an interweaved network of skin and nerves,
Yeah.
and like one huge homogeneous mass. Um,
The fleshy collective.
and the sad thing is that they were the most conscious of the
They were
ex-humans.
the most self-aware of all of these human-like creatures.
Yes, and retained basically their form for 40 million years, eventually blanketing the planet.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's the colonials. And then next up we have the flyers. Now these cats there was many winged
Ugh.
evolutions of different bat-like creatures that evolved from the ex-humans that the Q had made, and it was very unfortunate though because the Q had basically uh, made their hearts basically like a turbine. So
Yeah.
any overexertion of themselves, they would end up dying. Despite the, and so a lot of the initial races of flying flyers ended up dying due to overexertion because of the exhilaration of flying. And many flying species
That's
initially
mean.
started. Many and
that
many
just
yeah.
that's a mean trick, like giving you the pizza every time you die.
Yep, and it was within and it's
Fucking developers.
and most of the flying species ended up giving up basic intelligence to become flying beings.
Yeah. Intelligence is not a survival trait.
No. And it's eventually down the line that they end up, and mind you, this picture is censored for a very good reason. We ended up, the more underdeveloped of the more winged flyer beings is this guy, the hand flapper. So
It's not a baguette that's censored.
that is not a
It's
baguette.
not. It's not a baguette that you have stricken from the imagery.
It is not a baguette, exhaust port to fly through space.
Yeah, okay.
No, but they had no evolutionary advantages whatsoever. Uh, they gave up their means of flight and basically developed no further intelligence and just uh, were basically reduced. Their wings that were initially meant for flight were reduced to these sort of like peacock sort of means. They were basically used as like air traffic control, but air traffic control for that big black bar between his legs. Um, but yeah, their hands could not. They couldn't even pick up anything to eat. So most of this were to create tools or anything. Um, so all
Not
they could,
having hands sucks.
yeah. So basically, all they could do was mate themselves into a form of extinction. They were basically like fish flies or June bugs, whatever, what have you.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the crunchy guys with the when you step on them, they crunch up and
They carpet the outside of the front porch
yes,
with their fucked to dead bodies.
and they smell like fish. Yes.
Oh, really?
Well, the ones that we get at least.
Maybe. I don't usually. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I usually don't notice a smell associated with insects, but there's so many other smells around here that I don't know. I've never noticed those particular bugs having a smell.
Right.
Maybe.
Um.
Boy,
So
look at that guy. Jesus Christ.
he had himself a grand old time before he was blanked out of
Look at
existence.
the face on this guy, though. Like, I feel like the dude illustrating this was having a really funny day. Yeah.
I got cock. That's pretty much what
This
it's doing there.
fucking.
It's screaming, "I have a cock." uh, next up are the blind folks,
Oh
and again,
boy. Okay. I bet I'm gonna love these guys. Oh, I do. Yeah. Look at them. Oh,
mouse
more
people.
censorship. All right. So from now we now entered the dong having type of people.
Yeah, where everybody just doesn't wear clothes
We're in the
anymore.
dong having section now.
We're in dong heaven, right?
Dong heaven is a real place.
We're in the evolution of mankind where everybody's just slinging dong
Yeah.
everywhere.
The
So
golden age of dong, if you
the
will.
gold the golden dong age, the gold member age. Uh, but but basically this group of particular ex-humans were they initially hid underground from the queue for a good long while and were able to sustain themselves. But upon being found, they were turned into these like mouse-like people that again would create little cities underground, much like the worm people. But
Ah, yes.
but yeah, basically the only difference is these people had long whiskers and long fingers to claw through dirt and such.
Instead of baguette-shaped bodies.
Instead of baguette-shaped bodies. Speaking of
As God intended.
so speaking of more blobs, we're
True
gonna go.
form of humanity is that of a baguette. Speaking of,
The final form of mankind. So we're going to move on to another one of I think what's going to be another one of your favorites is the lopsiders. So
of the lopsiders, okay.
the lopsiders were
Oh, yes, I've seen this image too.
the lopsiders were basically a set of ex-humans that were taken to a planet with 36 times the amount of gravity.
Okay. Oh, so they're flat. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah. So and what's even funnier is I don't know they didn't censor, but like the little at the bottom in between his feet, he's got like a
There's
little poop hole.
something, yeah.
He's got a little poop hole there. That's funny.
Something's going on there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody poops sometimes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even flat people.
Even flat people poop. Um, but yeah, they basically looked like human beings squished between glass and basically evolved this way. Their rear ends basically became their feet and were used as their as a movement. Their left hands became another movement device, while they had one elongated arm that they would use to scoop up food and prey and things like that. Uh, but yeah, and then they also had the one. They also had like one particular eye, like looking up above themselves. That was kind of like 360 chameleon sort of like looking eye, and then you had
And was there an
one
eye on the
on the front that
facing the dirt? Oh, on the front. I see it. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
yeah, between the mouth and
Weird.
the bigger eye.
Flounder man.
Flounder man. And these folks become very interesting later on too. And again, like the evolution of these particular characters becomes interesting.
Yeah, we
Uh,
revisit some of these guys.
oh, we will revisit them when they evolve into even greater monstrosities.
Okay.
So here we have the Striders. Uh,
Oh, yeah, I saw these guys yesterday.
but it was much like the Lopsiders, but they had the opposite thing happen to them, where they were left on a planet with a very minimal amount of gravity. And thusly, their bodies became elongated. Um, Arms and legs were super thin. Uh, they had these chameleon-like qualities where they would change colors to reflect light to keep cool. Were extremely fragile beings. Did not last very long. Um, uh, it was basically said in the book that a simple fall could shatter these beings in a heartbeat, and they would die. 2 million years after the Q were around, they basically the Striders tried their best to survive, but some predators had moved into the the areas that they were presiding in, and they would the predators would eventually evolve, would sweep over the world, and the Striders like died immediately.
Another one that fell prey to predation.
Yep. And then next up, oh, more fun stuff. Parasites.
Oh boy. I love parasites of all types. Oh god, look at that.
Mm,
Okay. Is that
yep.
okay? Yeah, what's
Tor-
going on here? Looks
tortoise
great.
guy.
Okay, tortoise guy.
so so parasite variations included in these sort of like tortoise vampiric uh, fist-sized infiltrators. Uh, One in particular could hold on to wombs of female victims.
uh
Uh, the parasites lasted a good hunk longer than most, let alone the Striders. They lasted around 40 million years, and although even despite the fact that most of the parasites had died out after the Q had left, um, eventually these parasites will again they evolve into something even more ridiculous. But these parasites, uh, other humans and animals inhabiting the planet, uh, they began to the basically the other ex-humans on the planet began to learn how to cure themselves of the parasites. So the parasites had to get a little bit trickier, and that we will discuss a little bit further down the line.
okay.
All right. Next up, we have the finger fishers.
Oh boy.
These cats are interesting. Lived in a planet that was just
Oh,
basically
the horse face, of course.
yeah. They lived on a planet with a bunch of interconnected islands and a whole bunch of water. Uh, it was on these little islands these that the fingerfishers did develop themselves, but it was among these other islands that because of the isolation and the distance between the islands, these fingerfisher creatures basically developed into other beings and basically evolved into whatever they wanted. Um, but yeah, they would basically use their fingers for fishing and uh, yeah, that's pretty much all they did. That's I mean, there was no creativity to the name here. They had fingers and ate fish. But
They had fingers and they liked fish.
yep. Going back to the creativity of the names here, we're going to talk about the hedonists.
Oh boy, oh boy, what were these guys like? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, what the fuck?
um,
That's some Junji Ito shit right there.
they were not evolved and were simply designed for pleasure and used as pets in a paradise world. Um, much like they're almost like the shoulder parrots of
Ah, yes,
if
yes,
you will.
yes.
Um, and the unfortunate thing is that these particular creatures they cannot reproduce after just on a particular season or means. It's only through almost decades of effort of sexual copulation that they could that they were able to reproduce. So and is because of their aloof manner and carefree, easygoing, you know, boofing that they're
Boofing.
not boofing.
They're carefree boofing.
They're carefree, like fucking and everything else. Basically, like destroyed, and the lack of reproduction basically destroyed them all.
Sure.
And then
Carefree boofing is not a
no,
survival trait either.
absolutely not.
Intelligence and carefree boofing. That's what we've determined so far.
And next
To
up,
be avoided.
to be avoided. And next up, we have the insectophage.
Oh
So,
boy, okay.
yeah, so these particular ex-humans adapted a diet for small animals, and they had a face that was like leather, really elongated, worm-like tongues. Um, After the initial invasion of the Q and a whole bunch of other luck, they were basically one of the longest lasting of the star people. They pretty much only cared about food and mating for years upon years. Uh, Hold on, let me develop this, and then eventually it developed. Eventually, uh, the Q ended up finding this other group of people, and they ended up creating the Spacers, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So the Spacers here, much like a Tim
Oh
Burton
my
drawing,
god, okay. Yeah, right.
uh, we're basically uh, we're basically like communities of and groups of star
He's got
people.
some kind of baguette situation going
Yeah,
on,
I
I
was gonna
think.
say that is where I initially got the idea for the baguette propulsion system here.
Oh, okay. From
Uh,
now on, when we talk about types of aliens, we're gonna have to rate their baguettes.
They're gonna have to rate their baguettes. So these particular ex-humans would grow really thin due to just being left in the vacuum of space, and would develop an anus that would emit gas that would allow them to travel through space.
Oh, fart blast their way through space.
Yes.
Of course. Yes, terrific. I love it. I'm into it.
And they would eventually
God grant me the serenity to grow such an anus.
they would eventually take over asteroids to create spaceships, and they
With
would base
fart propulsion?
with fart propulsion and asteroid spaceships. They basically were one of the first sets of people to begin seeking the origin of their ancestry.
Is that the Q or is that Earth?
Oh, that's like Earth
They began
and
seeking Earth.
yeah. So pretty much after, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but I think this is also very vital to the story that pretty much after the Q took over all of these star people's worlds, that
Yeah.
it's after that the Q also made them made most of them forget like where
About
they
the Earth.
about the Earth and where they came from, let alone if they were like test tube star people, like where they
Right,
came from.
okay, yeah.
So they practically made them forget it all. And yeah, the Spacers were pretty much one of the first ones to beyond the people like the colonials that already knew where they came from and were like basically it was on purpose, so they were like tortured to know where they came from.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, they were one of the first to really realize what was going on, and basically one of the first to find out who the Q were, like who the Q were after this situation. Uh, and then next up, we have the Ruin Haunters.
The
So,
Ruin Haunters. Oh, those are the guys from Minecraft. Right? Is that them?
something like that. But the Ruin Haunters were a particular race of people that would inhabit basically the leftover temples of the Q,
Okay. Okay.
the abandoned
Sounds like some Dark Souls shit.
and the abandoned spaces of the Star People. Basically gaining the prior knowledge of the people which they which left all of their former technologies and knowledge. Um, but basically, these old technologies were blindly relocated and were repurposed and allowed the Ruin Hunters to, you know, really evolve super quickly. Uh, I wrote in a note here. I basically compared it to the equivalent of like a Patterns of Force episode of Star Trek.
Okay.
Like the
Sure.
so they had this very highly held sense of self, this like superior race concept, and the true lone descendants of the Star People. And anybody that gets in their way, they're gonna like absolutely destroy them. Um, Basically anything to make the Reich last 1,000 years, sort of thing, utopian
Sure.
type of
Okay. Yeah.
reality. All right. Let's see here. So it is again millions upon millions of years past the Star People's understanding, or the Star People's interaction with the Q, and the Q absolutely destroying their sentience. And most people don't even, again, most of these factions that we've discussed don't even know where they'd come from, what they are, except for that, like, they're there and they have to survive.
Yeah.
Uh,
Basic
and
knowledge of a sentient race on any planet, trying to understand. Yeah.
yeah, and it's within the Q's genetic morphing and things like that that uh, they tried millions upon millions of different like variations of all these different Star People and ex-human types, and it ended up that the Q failed more often than not, despite being like the masters of like genetic mutations. Um, these mutations would end up failing in as within failing as within standing the test of times in the evolutionary standpoint. Um, um, it's basically, again, mankind has basically started all over again with this sort of like primordial soup sort of like mentality, like they're starting from square one all over again.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
um
Yeah.
and it's oddly enough through the radiation of space that like mankind is able to um gain some sort of expedience in their evolution. And again, those that survived ended up creating these whole mythical societies and whole new worlds and things like that. And we will begin discussing these one of these new evolutions, the Snake People. Now, where do you think the Snake People came from?
Uh, Jesus Christ. Uh, oh my God. Some
Yeah.
these guys were some kind of colony of similar to the hedonists. They obviously were interested in, smoking some kind of plant while playing their dildo flutes. So I feel like this may have been, what, he's wearing stripes. This was a colony of French prisoners that were addicted to space weed and dildos, and they got turned into snake people. That's what I think.
They are called the Snake People, but these are descendants of the Worm People. So
Oh,
technically, you weren't too far
oh,
off.
We're moving. Okay, I didn't realize we were moving on to the new. Okay,
Yeah. So, oh, I'm sorry. I thought I mentioned that we're moving
worm
into the new
people. This is
regions.
space Pokemon. Okay, great. No, you did. You did mention it, but I wasn't. I don't know. I hadn't quite made the leap yet. I already. Yeah. Okay.
So the snake people were basically the descendants of the worm people that made it to the surface and were able to withstand the intense heat within that was on top of the surface. Um, their brains grew. They developed these like little hand-like appendages at the end of
Yeah.
their tail,
At the end of their baguette.
at the end of their baguette. Yes. um, Basically, they followed the same path of humankind, of like our understanding of humankind. As it comes to like understanding sentience and like intelligence, they evolved, made great cities, and did fairly well for themselves. So next up, we are going to talk about. So there's a group of. Oh, too quiet. Oh, I'll make sure to turn it up. Thanks, Pickle.
Oh, thanks, Fickle.
Right on. I'll turn it up just a touch more.
We did a tiny bit of sound testing, but maybe not quite enough.
Yeah, I thought it was loud enough. I might just have my
It was
headphones.
real. I only did a quick listen. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. No,
But thank you. Yeah.
that's my
Thank you,
fault.
Fickle.
Yeah,
It's always helpful.
thanks, bud. Um, so we're going to be continuing on with a group of folk known as that basically evolved from the initial predators um, from a particular planet, and these folks are known as killer folk.
Killer folk.
Killer folk. They almost have these.
Oh my god.
Yeah, right. So these killer folk were like master huntsmen,
Are they
hunters.
related to the finger fishers?
uh, no, they're descendants of just ex-human predators that the Q developed
Oh, okay.
um much in the same manner they were kind of like saber-tooth tigers, if you will.
Okay, sure.
So but yeah, they call it,
Saber-toothed humans.
yeah, right. Um, excuse me. So where while they're really as you see that long that long tooth kind of hanging out there, as much as that was initially meant to claw and tear through like sinew and bone and meat, these eventually became fragile and were just more a show of force rather than actually being utilized. Their claws eventually became these like perpendicular hand thing, clasper things, and then they had like that long raptor thumb.
Yeah.
Um, and this particular society was I found really fascinating because despite the fragility of these particular ex-humans, they developed weapons and were able to kill with their hands if they wanted to. They also had these very interesting sects of religions and different denominations, but all of them under the basically under the flag of like pure unadulterated violence and uh, and animalistic
Killer men.
and animalistic urges. Think the purge, but like
Werewolves.
or like that episode of South Park with the Christmas critters, the blood
Oh
orgy.
god. Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The
it's
woodland
like that.
creatures.
It's like that. It's like blood orgy, yay!
Yeah.
Yeah, they fucking hunt. Um, but the social constructs of the communities were basically like warrior type societies, and yeah, eventually um one of these societies would break off and would industrialize. Um, and it basically created this schism between the more. It's almost like in this sort of warped sense of like do I stay and become this great warrior and like destroy people, or do I join a civilized industrialized society that like is helping others sort of thing. and
Sure.
there's this gigantic schism within the killer folk on which
The
side are you
killer
on?
folk.
Yeah, which side are you on? Are you with the
Are you with the?
eating?
Are you on the side of the killers,
Are you
or
on
the
the
getting killed?
Are you on the side of the blood orgies, or are you on the side of, not blood orgies? They come close to war on multiple occasions, but they eventually settle and they industrialize as a whole. Oh man, I'm
Good
excited.
for the killer folk.
I'm excited for this one. Uh,
Okay.
do you remember the Hanna-Barbera show The Snorks?
Yeah, I remember the Snorks. Okay, sure. Yeah,
So
yeah,
let me
yeah, yeah.
introduce you to the Tool Breeders.
The
Much,
Tool breeders.
yep, who were descendants of the
Oh,
Swimmers.
good God. Okay, look at that. All right.
Yep. So the Tool Breeders were, again, descendants of the Swimmers. Um, they basically uh, industrialized everything underwater despite not having fire. Um, they would use like thermal vents to heat things up. They had uh uh flesh like basically like fleshy televisions and
Yeah.
created
I
living
love fleshy
spaceships.
televisions.
They would create living spaceships out of like fish and things. uh they practically, again, it was much like the Snorks, where it's like Snorks meets the Flintstones, where they would make
Yeah,
their
everything's a living thing.
everything's a living thing, and everything says it's a living at the end of it.
Yeah, right, right,
But
right, right,
yeah,
right.
so they basically make their tools, copulate and breed. Um, but they were considered to be one of the more developed races among the former humans. Um, but yeah, they began making living spaceships and began traversing the galaxy and continue pressing forth. It's super funny. I love these particular people because, again, it just reminds me of the Snorks.
Yo,
Oh,
Flamestrat, Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year to you. I hope that things are going well. I hope
yep.
that BC is just, yeah, snowy and lovely. I hope everything's going good for you.
Right
Nice
on.
to hear from you. Hope you're doing good. Thanks so
Thanks.
much.
Right on.
This is Thrash Kishu talking
Yep.
about all tomorrows.
Very interesting uh, digital novel that was released some time ago. I
They're
think
like
that.
the Tyranids. Not really. The Tyranids were like insects, but you know who those are?
No, I
That's
don't believe so.
Warhammer 40K. They're kind of like the Zerg in StarCraft,
Oh,
but they
okay.
fly around in living spaceships. But they're more like insects or the Xenomorphs.
Oh, I see.
You know, yeah, they're a
So
hive culture, but living weapons. The Tyranids always had, yeah, they had weapons that shot living goo or whatever, and their weapons were a whole other animal,
living goo. That's
that
funny.
kind of thing. Yeah,
Okay, I can dig it. Um. Oh, so we're gonna press on. So you remember the lizard herders that I mentioned earlier?
sure.
Yeah. So in a very interesting evolutionary flip flop, much as I mentioned earlier, the lizard herders ended up developing into being the lizard herded.
Oh, the lizard, the herded by lizards.
The herded by lizards.
Yes.
So the lizards, who are known as Saurosapiens, uh,
Oh my God, that might I.
mhm.
I wonder if that's what the guys on Star Trek are called.
um,
Probably not, but it's something like that, I think.
mm.
Anyway,
but the
yeah.
humans like begin getting stupider and stupider until basically the lizards take over and use them as a means of livestock and become the dominant species. They begin to realize where they initially started on, in the food chain, and where their ancestry came from.
The
They
lizards do.
The lizards do. They find out
Yeah.
that
But they were herded by the men.
they were initially herded by the men and used as a means of livestock. Yes. Um,
And
they
oh, how the tables they turn.
oh man, and the Sauro sapiens also become aware of the Q and what they had done to the human race, and basically get so upset by this that they practically declare themselves human and say that they
Ah,
are going to go on and fight
they're
against
going
the.
to avenge humanity.
They're going to avenge humanity. They're going to defeat the Q to avenge humanity. Yes,
Cool.
and they embrace
That's
like
cool of them.
they embrace the general concepts of humanity, and it's very interesting how again like in an evolutionary standpoint this would probably never happen, but like with
It takes a long time.
the
It's hard
ingredients that
to
are
say.
there.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, I gotta invite my crew to the stream here. One moment. But so next, who are we talking about next? Oh yeah, the modular people,
The modular people.
the people that came after the colonials.
Oh, after the. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
That came after the block blobs.
Yep. They
People with many people made out of many blobs serving specific functions,
exactly.
like those things in the ocean.
Those things in the ocean. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh.
Siphonophores. So the that that clear balloon with the tentacles that kill you in Florida. The Portuguese man of war.
Oh yes, it's almost like
It is
well,
a colony of different creatures. Some of them sting, some of them float, but they all work together to kill you.
I was reminded of like the first boss that the Powerpuff Girls faced, like the big gelatinous blob thing.
Oh,
What
uh,
I don't know. That's a bit
I
of a
might. I don't. I don't recall. Yeah,
not a big deal.
I remember Fuzzy Lumpkins.
Fuzzy.
Is
Get
that what
on
his name
my
was?
property.
It was okay. Yeah,
Yeah, little southern guy with a banjo. Yeah.
yeah.
Excuse me. Um, but basically the colonials were eventually able to. Isn't just a jelly. Oh my god, terrifying and amazing. They were eventually to were able to separate and create little communities.
Yeah, it's
And
not a jellyfish. It is a colony. It's a siphonophore. It's a colony of different things doing different things. It's not shaped like a jellyfish. It's shaped like a blob of different things.
that is very true.
Yeah.
And man, are they poisonous?
Yeah,
Um,
and they're really good at killing you.
they
Yeah,
are
look up
very good at killing
siphonophore. Might be siphonophore, but it might be like the classification of animal.
you. Oh,
But
okay.
that's what the Portuguese manivore is. It's yeah, something like that. Something like that word. That might not be the exact word, but something like siphonophore. Siphonophore is what that type of animal is. And in the deep ocean, they're enormous and covered in different kinds of parts and arms and tentacles and faces.
That's
Maybe
petrifying.
not faces. I don't know,
Hey.
but wacky shit. Sorry, that's what
So
these are like.
shit. I did not realize that it wasn't a jellyfish.
Yeah, I'm very
I thought it
fascinated
was like that,
by.
that little subsect or something. But
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Siphonophore is a whole section, a whole type of creature that is a colonial creature.
but much in this sort of like you know
Specialized.
well, as much as it kind of gives like Passad a little bit of an enlightenment to hear about a group of beings in space much living like this. Um,
Sure.
so
Yeah, communally.
yep, they start
I
begin
would
acting
love to hear about it.
they begin acting communally because they're pretty much forced to. They each in each individual subsect of these like modular people begin uh competing against each other to do these little individual tasks. So like one community, like we'll say is like a baking community, and then all of a sudden there's another baking community, and then the baking communities begin competing against each other about who makes the better croissant or some shit, and
Sure.
basically whoever dies due to evolutionary development, they sustain. Um,
The other guy gets to take over the croissant baking.
yeah, and basically the ones that turn out to be much like the one percenters, the ones that basically are in charge, that were given the task of being in charge of all the other communities. All
Oh,
the other
sure.
communities
Okay.
basically um, uh, would uh, would basically snuff out any dissent against the top dog 1% community. Uh, let's see, hold on. The kind that overtakes is the initial unit that gave the orders. Yeah, basically the overall big community modular blobs would destroy the smaller blobs. But
Sure,
yeah,
sure, 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 sure.
and they would
As
also
blobs do.
and they would also communally exchange body parts as needed, which is kind of funny.
That's fun. That's always fun to do.
So so next up we have the Pterosapiens, who were descendants of the Flyers.
Oh, sure. Sure they were. They were into tattooing and
They
funny hats.
they really liked henna tattoos and those jester hats from the late
Yes.
'90s that were
Yeah, right. They're from the late 90s. That's when.
uh, but eventually, due to the mass amount of battling within the skies of this particular planet, um, these Pterosapiens ended up you know bashing it out in the skies, and basically a huge subset of them are like, you know what, screw this, I'm going back to Earth, or not to Earth, I'm going back to the ground, and I'm gonna live on the ground. Um, and yeah, eventually the mass amount that ends up staying on the ground develops these little societies. They denounce their wings, and most of them actually end up becoming swimmers. Uh,
Oh.
yeah. Uh,
Are
although
wings good for swimming with?
I don't particularly know, but I could assume that you could use them as some sort of fin.
You're not an avianologist?
I'm
An
not.
ornithologist? Is that what we would?
I have no idea.
You don't know what a bird guy is? I think
I
it's
don't
the ornithologist.
ornithologist.
I
Yeah,
think so.
I don't
I could
know.
be right. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know anything about bird people.
I don't know much ornithology.
No,
I don't know trigonometry. You
but
know that song? I don't know much about science book.
I don't know much about.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know that too. That's a good one.
yeah.
Yeah, that song. The tune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know much about the fucking thing.
Don't know much
Don't know
about
much
that
about the other
other
thing.
thing.
It's like a fucking "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared" song.
There's three of us.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm some kind of thing. Look at that other like. There's so much weird, vague, like non, like ambiguation,
yeah.
non-disambiguation. Like just like there's a part where the red guy wants to go somewhere else, and the yellow guy says, "But this is our where we are." There's something so bizarre. There's oh god, everything about it. Like the attention to weirdness, right?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like someone had to be like, all right, but if we wanted to make this a little weirder, let's make them not know basic things like where they are, like
Nah.
what a house is, our home, or the concept of a home or a
Mm.
family. I don't know. There's something. It's a nice touch.
It's such a
But we
bizarre
don't refer to each other as that one. It's
game.
always what's that one doing, or like it's.
What's that one doing?
And I'm some kind of one of those ones. It's always like, yeah, they have trouble with identity.
Yeah, there's definitely
It's
a
neat.
problem with that. It's very interesting, but yeah, well, I mean, and we'll come around to some real interesting identity crises that these beings have.
Oh
Um,
boy, cool.
although never really gaining back their sentience, uh, one group began using their newly developed brains to evolve into using what were their feet as hands and begin grabbing prey. They eventually
Okay.
unite and never really battle amongst each other again. But due to flaws in their evolution and their hearts, they could not sustain their brains and their active bodies, making them
Right.
die off much
Okay.
quicker. Uh,
Yes.
the life expectancy of an average Terra sapien was about 23 years old.
E.
Yep, not a very long life at all. Ooh, ooh, another one. I think I
Okay.
knew you were just gonna love all of these. This one in particular. These are asymmetric
Oh boy. Okay.
people.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love asymmetric people. That's my favorite kind.
So these are descendants of the lopsiders, the little pancake people.
Sure. Of
They
course they are. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. So they eventually are become used to their high gravity environments. Uh, create a strange. They basically started a strange but organized society at the end of the day. Um, they tried for scientifically tried to make the planet a little more benign as it pertains to the gravitational pull, and they tried over millions upon millions of years, and it's with this millions upon millions of years that they are able to start walking upright again.
Okay.
Their faces become flounder like still. Um, again, getting they still have like the little appendage at the end there that's supposed to be their arm or hand.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. The weird arm. But I
uh,
see that the the baguette has evolved.
yeah, they definitely got a big old baguette down there. They um they evolved despite the harsh conditions, and they eventually reached like a golden age and actually end up in the midst of like interplanetary wars and things like that. But yeah, they eventually, due to their superiority, like what remained of the lopsiders on the planet, they just killed off. And yeah, ooh, and now we're going back into the descendants of the parasite people,
Oh geez.
the
Parasite people, yeah.
symbiotes.
The symbiotes?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Are
So,
they brain slugs? Do they sit on your head?
oh yeah, they do.
Oh,
Uh,
they sit on your oh they do.
yeah. So
Oh,
these
they sit on your head and tell you things.
yep, they basically at some point the um ex-humans that the symbiotes were attaching to eventually succumbed to their condition as being the host for these
Oh
parasites, and
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was parasitic, yeah.
yeah, much in the same manner that those sharks have those fish that like hang on the
The
side of their fin.
remora.
Yeah, very much in the same manner. Um, uh, but yeah, in exchange, the parasites also offer the heightened senses that they have to their host as a kind of equal exchange sort of thing with the between the ex-human and the symbiote that's living within them. Um, but yeah, they were basically like the symbiotes were like Shinji and these were the Eva, you know.
Okay, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Most symbiotes would would actually have multiple different sets of hosts that they would use. Like you would have like a how much like you'd have like a smoking jacket. You would have a
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna wear this guy today. This is
I'm
my fucking dude.
no, oh, hold on, let me slip into
He's
something
just
a little more comfortable. All of a sudden, the thing pops
let
off and like the body just like drops, and
me
the little
let
thing
me
crawls
slip
away.
into a different baguette.
He slips up into a different baguette.
I got a different guy back there.
But yeah, that's basically what they would do. They would, use, other bodies as a means of of just different situations,
I'm aware.
stressful
Yeah,
situations, what
different.
have you.
Yeah, I got a
Um,
work guy. I got a weekend guy.
I got a weekend guy.
Yeah.
I got a guy that wears plaid. Oh,
This
this
guy's liver is practically gone, so I use this guy when I'm out drinking.
and next up, descendants of the finger fishers, we have the sail people.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was wondering about. Oh, yeah. Oh my God, what the fuck? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Wow. All right.
evolved into absolutely nothing as was initially perceived by
Their fingers
the
moved
finger
into their
fishers.
mouths.
No, their fingers became elongated
Oh, I see, and became sales.
and basically became sails that would prop up on their backs. Uh, and they also gained these like little worm like appendages that would like grab their prey and put it into their mouths while they're sailing over the seas.
Yeah, wacky.
Um,
Like
they
graboids.
this was the most common variant that came out of the sail people, but there were also others that were just like it basically came down to the finger fishers were just like, you know what, fuck it. On an evolutionary standpoint,
Let's go swimming.
I'm gonna become this.
I'm gonna
Uh,
become a sailboat.
most one became a sailboat, one became a dolphin, another became a whale. Pretty much. It was only after industrialization would sail people unify and stop fighting amongst each other. There was apparently a lot of you know, grief amongst the sail people. And then I swear we're almost done with this. I feel like we've been going through a whole lot of fucking shit.
This is a
Um,
lot. This is basically like this. It occurred to me that this was kind of like I used to. Me and my friends, we would
mhm.
sit like at the cafeteria and we would like read the bestiary like for D&D.
Oh
We
yeah,
would just like look at the monsters and talk about them and like get ideas. And like that's what this is kind of like. That's
yeah. This
what I was thinking about. Going through the different monsters and talking about how to use them in campaigns and how to write stories about these different monsters.
that sounds
That's
awesome.
almost what this is. This is almost a. That's why I said they should have given this guy a Star Trek show. It's like a primer for. It's a world building exercise. That's what this
Absolutely,
is.
absolutely.
It's a world building. This is my favorite fucking term.
World building exercise. Uh, and then next here we have the Satyriacs, and these were the descendants of the hedonists.
These are the pop star.
I honestly don't know what this is showing,
Why
but
he's screaming into a microphone, or is he
I
smoking a pipe?
I don't know. But he looks like he
He looks
looks
like a pop star.
he looks like Christopher Lloyd trying to be Sam Kinison,
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
something like that.
Yes.
But the
He's a
Satyr
comedian. He's performing.
I could only assume, but it didn't really mention too much about their art
Okay.
styles or anything like that. But basically, after some point, the hedonists again are mostly wiped out from a severe disaster, much like the great disaster that happened to the dinosaurs. An asteroid came in and just absolutely destroyed the planet. Absolutely, and it also killed all you know the baguette touching that they would do during the
So the baguette touching had to come to an end.
the baguette touching had to come to an end. And basically, ash and soot covers the entire planet, blots out the sun, and the Satyriacs evolve, out of this disaster into this almost dinosaur-like creature, having this like raptor-like body
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
you know
They were headed in that direction before when they were hedonists.
yeah, you know again the whole bipedal like weird dinosaur posture.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but again, after years of and again another faction goes into years upon years of war. The once peacetime is eventually reached with the Satirics, they return to the hedonist lifestyle and they just begin, touching baguettes
Yeah.
and this was in the book too. Uh, they began to uh, have competing communities to see who would do the most entertaining, and they would often have
yeah,
concerts and orgies.
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at the crowd going crazy. That's an orgy he's performing for.
Are you ready to fuck?
Who's ready to fuck? Jesus Christ.
And then up next, we have again the most long-lasting group amongst the ex-humans, the or one of the longest-lasting, I should say, the bug facers. And
The
again,
bug facers,
with
okay.
with an even more creative name. So the bug facers,
Yeah. Must have
um,
been a favorite of the queue.
yeah, well, even with the Q diminishing their their sentience, like they were able to come around fairly quickly in an evolutionary standpoint. They would come around to start devising world states and develop these real heavy duty societies. And it is around this point that they end up coming into contact with a another ex-human subsect. And
Okay.
I am not certain which ones they didn't necessarily mention, but this particular subsect ended up trying to destroy the bug facers, and the bug facers did not take very kindly to that,
No.
and thus destroyed
As you tend to not.
them. And what was even more interesting is that um in this sort of build a wall sense, they became xenophobic and
Sure.
and eventually um banned any other life forms from visiting their planet. Um, they continue to fight off invaders, and they just are like, you know what, no, but you know what, no one's allowed here. They become like the North Korea of the galaxy.
All right, sure. Yeah,
Um, but yeah. Oh, and these ones are interesting. The
yeah. Yeah.
astromorphs. The astromorphs are the descendants of the spacers,
The
and
farters.
these are and this
Oh
is
my
where
god. Oh my
look
god,
at
look at
that
that
baguette.
baguette.
Yeah,
That's not censored?
that is an uncensored
That
space
is an
baguette.
uncensored space baguette. Jesus Christ.
Yep, but just like the spacers, they got little shrinkters that help them poop through space and such.
Pooch through space.
Yeah, it helps them poop through space. Um, they and much so they again were kind of like uh the shut-ins of the universe. They stayed on like the farthest outer reaches of the galaxy and basically lived in the void and didn't really particularly have any will or want to intervene with any other ex-human society. It is uh so so again, because they live in practically the vacuum of space, they began developing even longer, limbs and hands and fingers,
Farts.
and and
Baguettes.
and they got these little baguettes that put them through space. Um, but they could grow gigantic brains and were able to grasp concepts upon birth that would basically level the equivalent of like a Harvard, quantum physicist upon birth. Um,
Big brains.
yes, they were the galaxy brains of the
Like
universe.
the Mentats. Yes.
Yes. Uh, they were very quick to master space travel and would develop their offspring in bubbles. Um,
Oh.
yeah, and
More growing people in pods.
something like that. Because again, once you know, the Q were onto something, maybe, possibly. Um,
Maybe.
but yeah, they were very,
They were onto something with the pods.
they were very watchful of themselves, wouldn't, and very watchful of the ex-humans. They would watch over them, but would not. And it's almost like oh god, like a prime directive. They wouldn't go on to.
Okay, sure. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So and so it's at this point that the the now evolved millions of years, like mankind creatures, began to recognize where they were coming, where they were initially from, as well as that there were other sets of
Yeah,
star
other
beings out
types
there.
of yeah,
hmm So
other types of kinda humans.
other types of kind of baguette pudding people, yes.
Yeah.
So they begin, um, so all these different civilizations begin like seeking out each other, and one of the first people to make a real unification are the killer folk. Oddly enough,
Okay.
yeah, the killer folk are and the Satyriacs are one of the first groups to end up hanging out. The But yeah, they also begin like searching through their old ruins, and they end up trying to find more people to more ex-humans to unify to, because again they all realize, holy shit, we were all made by these Q
These
bug monsters.
dudes.
Yeah. So
Made by dudes.
made by all sorts of dudes. So yeah, because of all these bug monsters, they you know flat decided, like, yeah, we gotta go. We gotta take care of these cats. So the modular people and the Metrics and the Terra Sapiens contact each other as well, and they end up creating a unified force. Um, all the while, the bug facers are completely aware of everything going on,
Yeah, they're just not
but
helping
they're
out.
like, "Fuck you, we're not dealing with you people," and kept
Stay
moving.
in neutral.
And
Y'all are weird.
Yep, yep. And thus, this unified, sect of ex-humans becomes known as the Second Empire. They have political unification, although not like political homogeny. Everybody has their. It's almost like a UN sort of thing.
All
It's
right,
more.
sure,
It's
sure,
more. It's
sure.
more of like assuring everybody is like being cool to each other, and that there's a sort of galactic awareness of any other ex-humans that they can bring into the fold. Um, they pull off this like coordinated effort to destroy the Q, and this effort lasts like 40 million years.
The warfare. The
Well,
Q are not destroyed during that time.
they destroy a good hunk of the Q, but as far as I remember, but they don't. Well,
They are unable to do it.
actually, excuse me. They don't go. They don't find the Q at all. I misread my notes here, and I misremembered. Yeah, no, they don't find the Q. They're expecting the Q to come in and fuck up their
Yeah,
shit. And here they
yeah,
are. And
as
here
you
they
would
are.
expect.
Here they are, ready to go, ready to crack some skulls, and then something even almost as nefarious, if not more so,
The bug
evolves.
facers.
No, not the bug facers.
No. Okay.
Even more unexpected than that. It's actually the Ruin Hunters.
Oh, the Minecraft guys.
The Minecraft guys come back with a vengeance, and they got technology. And boy, is it kind of, eh. I would have expected more, but it's
They
apparently
got balls. They got the balls from Phantasm.
yeah, they turned themselves into the David Bowie crystal balls. No,
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
was dumb
yeah.
like that. But anyway, so these folks are known as the Gravita, the Gravitol. Excuse me. The Gravitol basically developed right underneath the noses of the Second Empire, and as the Empire is waiting for the Q to start some shit, they don't consider the Ruin Hunters, let alone how quickly they're developing their technologies. And the Gravitol eventually become the first ones to strike. They are in these like metal spherical things that basically um, have these like anti-gravity propulsion systems that propel them, and they have
Sure.
like mad crazy weapons. Super developed race, and again, all under the radar. Um, but these circular
No one in the galaxy do.
Nobody
Oh,
had a.
excuse me, sorry.
That's all good. But no, these circular ball machines turned out to replace these ex-humans' bodies, and
Oh,
much in the sense of like the
they got
Borg.
rid of the big noses,
They got rid of the big noses and
the snoots,
they got rid of the snoots in exchange for big balls.
in exchange for balls.
Um, and much like the Daleks or the Borg, they traveled galaxies, destroying and conquering others with a great ease due to their technological advances in space travel. And and the way that they would do it is they would do this sort of like Mr. Burns style scheme. They would blot out planet suns, and those that were lived through the torture of not having a son were flat killed.
Uh,
Um, it was said in the book that life is a luxury to the gravitas or the gravital. So the gravital like believed that humankind that the other ex-humankind weren't even humankind.
yeah,
They were just completely ignorant to that concept because again, they consider themselves the lone descendants of the Stargazer.
inheritors. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And thus these aren't former humans, these are nothing burgers. These are just random beings. Um and again, the very interesting thing is that the Gravital weren't exactly like these cold, calculated people. Uh, they were, they just kind of were ignorant to other human beings. Um, I mean, they it was said in the book that they often lived regular lives, having friends, uh, community gatherings, parties. Uh, yeah, they weren't evil. They were just completely ignorant to everything
Just
else
completely unaware of, yeah.
of what they were doing. Um, and eventually, the Machine Empire, after taking over all of these planets, breaks down into these factions, even religious states. They end up like they become so AI they gain religion, uh,
AI religion.
some sort. Um, but um, but despite like most of the destruction, like actually, I forgot to mention the first of those who were attacked in this whole um Gravital invasion were the bug facers. And
Oh,
they were and
that's
because
what you get for fucking around, bug
mhm.
facers.
Well, the thing is that it was due to the fact that the Gravital were so new to their processes of taking over planets. It was
Yeah.
said that there was like a slight mistake error in taking over the bug facers planet, that some of the bug facers and other beings were left to live,
Ah.
but were left to live, but most of those were used for either again once again much like the Q, they were used for pets and genetic experimentation. So,
By the balls.
mhm. And thus eventually creating oh no, I forgot another picture on here. There's
Oh,
a group of folk called the subjects, but
the
that's a
subjects. Oh no.
yeah. But eventually the subjects,
The subjects of experimentation or of like the kingdom.
the subjects of the kingdom of the Gravital.
Okay.
Uh, not that that it really mattered much because they eventually evolved into something else. Uh, it was one of only a few species kept alive from the gravital, and it was through genetic engineering that they would create these grotesque and uh, awful serpents and laborers. Uh, some were actually developed as mere like lawn ornaments and garden pieces,
Sure.
or like art pieces. Uh, and apparently the gravital weren't also not only the only machine type that was within the galaxy. Um, but they were one of the only ones to develop a religious sect amongst themselves. It is within these religious sects that that these particular machines gain some sort of sympathies for humankind, and they begin to sort of understand. They sort of understand what they're doing at this point. These are like the new Gravital. They're like oh my god, what happened?
Okay, what the fuck has been going on here? Oh my, yo, do you know these guys are sentient?
Right?
You
Um,
realize those guys are self-aware down there? We didn't even know.
but eventually, the astromorphs, um, the space
The
people with
farters.
the
Yeah.
the baguette people, yeah, the space farters basically see the Gravital coming in and fucking shit up, and they're like, wait, fuck that, we're fixing this right now. With all of our crazy space powers and us being
Yeah.
pretty much close to gods
And farts.
and the god of farts, yeah. So
The god of farts, yes.
so the astromorphs like, and the thing is that the Gravital are like aware of the astromorphs and about how powerful they were, and they initially didn't fuck with them. Eventually, the astromorphs are like, you know what, this whole nonsense they all are doing needs to stop, and they start coming in. These battles last for a million years Earth time, and it shadowed the initial amount of time that it took for the Gravital to take over everything. Um, the Astromorphs ends up, winning in the end of it, and they begin taking what organic life remained, and they genetically modify it to their own means to make in a more humanistic light, or more with like
Okay.
more towards what they would look like,
Humane.
more
Oh,
humane
okay.
genetic
Oh,
mutation.
more like, but actually more original human genetic stock is what you mean.
Yeah, they ended up creating these celestial versions of themselves known as these guys, the terrestrials. They're basically like floating
Oh
super
my god.
smart.
Okay, that's not what I thought. That's not what I was expecting, but
Yeah, they
okay.
look like floating super smart fetuses.
Yes, all right.
And that's practically what they were. And they ended up on multiple occasions trying to take over their asteromorph overlords on multiple occasions because of how intelligent and equipped to evolution that they were. They were able to like they tried in multiple occasions to take over their owners, and ended up causing a little bit of schisms, and they ended up stopping stuff. They ended up like developing them, but they ended up stopping whatever revolution that these little fetus things were trying to create.
Uh,
Um, let's see here. Uh, so and now we're pushing into the post-war stuff. The uh, the asteromorphs initially wanted to get rid of the machine people, of any sort of machine people, because they considered them all
sure. As you would. You want to get rid of machine people.
evil. But they eventually decided to reprogram them just for the sole purpose of usefulness. Uh, they scrapped the machine's gravitational their means of gravitational manipulation and creating weaponry, and also gave them finite lifespans and took away their imaginations. So
Took
they
away their
yeah,
imaginations,
so they
Jesus.
couldn't think about like taking over again,
Or building spaceships.
or building spaceships or really evolve. Um, Not a total loss for the Gravital, but it's a pretty big loss. Um,
Taking away your imagination is
it's pretty heavy duty.
that's pretty bad. It
Yeah.
sounds weird.
Excuse me. Um,
Taking away Jesus. They punished an entire race by taking away their imagination.
mhm.
That's some Care Bears shit. Like, what
um,
happened to your poor zombified friend? Darkheart came through with a bunch of evil smoke and stole this guy's imagination, Care Bears. We need to fucking care about shit or something.
something like that.
Get this guy's imagination back.
So this second empire, this new empire for like flourishes, does really well for itself, and they practically never see the Q again. They end up in contact with another different intelligent life, and they end up unifying and doing well for themselves. It is after all of these millions upon millions of years that these ex-humans finally realize that their home planet was Earth, and
Yes.
thus they begin doing the research and the proper preparations to go back to Earth and see what is left. They send a ship, but due to the distance from everything, it had no mean to return in time, much like their initial runs through the galaxies. And this is at the end of it all, 560 million years after the initial uh, um, uh, reaching of Mars and conquering
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This started with this is what happens when you try to go to Mars.
And the book also explains that it is after this that it's not certain what exactly happens to mankind, but is more likely that mankind, in one way, shape, or form, did eventually go extinct. And that was
After all that,
all tomorrow's.
that's where we ended up. Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, again, dude, give it a read sometime. It's
I guess I gotta.
but
Did you
there's an audio book on YouTube of it.
Oh, dope. Okay.
But of course,
That's a good I like that answer.
always support the author, of course. But
Yeah. And the author is
CM Kosemen.
Kuzmin. This is a did you say Turkish?
He's Turkish, but it's like there's like an umlaut on his name.
Okay.
It's like Ko with an umlaut, Semen. CM Kosemen.
All right, CM Kuzmin with all tomorrows fucked up, and really, it almost seems like, and you can almost see these illustrations becoming more detailed and more masterful as they go on. It's almost like he drew just all these weird creatures, and then he was like, okay, I got to write a story about all of them, because it is almost just like a bestiary and a history, but it's an informative. It's like a almost like a nonfiction. I don't know, an informative research book.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's another term I'm looking for, but
yeah, he was very but yeah, he studied at Cornell, and he was a very interested in zoology and paleontological artistry. Uh, and he always wanted to do like books about like drawing things with scientific reasoning. Like there's a reason why this creature looks the way it does. It's not just because it looks
right.
cool. It's like there's
In
uh,
this type of environment, this creature would be like this.
right.
There's I feel like there's a show like that on Netflix where it's like, I don't know what it's called, but it's like they kind of pitch a planet. They're like, now on a planet with this type of gas and this type of environment, aliens like this might live.
Oh, I know what you're talking
There's
about.
something
Yeah,
like that, yeah.
I've
They
seen the
did it
show.
with I don't know if it's the same. They did Walking with Dinosaurs, where they kind of scientifically tried to
Mm,
say what being around a dinosaur might be like.
I've
I don't
seen
know
it.
if this is the same people, but it's the same kind of thing where they're like, scientifically, this is what kind of life might be on this type of planet.
Fair enough. All right, that was a long ass journey. You ready to go back to the couch?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All
Yeah,
right, hey,
let's
let's
do it. It's
top.
unpleasantly like being drunk.
All right, here we go.
Ah!
Oh, the spaghettification, the spaghettification.
This is a great time to hit a pipe.
It's always a good time to hit a bite. We're gonna end up in a.
One of the best times is in a time tunnel.
Yep. Always smoking the time tunnel. Just remember, I got just blow it out the window so I can get the deposit
Oh, we weren't supposed to smoke in the toaster.
back.
Oh, I forgot.
We'll get the
But I mean,
deposit.
You're
It'll be
only
okay.
on how often are you rolling down Rainbow Road through time?
No, not very often, and quite frankly, I'll probably never go to that hurts again. That was a
How
terrible
you didn't like how
experience.
you were treated
No,
here?
I
Did they?
it was a lot of underhandedness, and then they
Oh, did
tried
they
to.
try to sell you on insurances and things you don't need?
Oh man, well
Time travel insurance.
they tried giving me paradoxal insurance and things like that. I told them
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna touch anything.
predestination insurance.
Ah, douchebags. All right, well we're coming in for that landing, bud. And
All
we're
right,
back.
great. Great to be here.
Right on. Well,
Whoa, that's not my house. What the?
this isn't my house.
That's not my house on the TV. What
No,
did
that's
we come back to the wrong dimension?
oh no, that was my playthrough of little nightmares, but
Oh, Little Nightmares. I think I have the sequel.
for some reason it's not playing right now. There we is that working? There we go.
Was it just a?
It was just standing there.
Oh, there we go. It might have. Okay, okay. Nice. Cool. 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 Nice
I
touch.
loved this game. This was so much fun.
Yeah, I
I don't
have barely even looked at either. I have got the second one in my library, my Steam library.
yeah. All right on. Well, so really quick promo. This Friday, I'm going to be doing a Christmas party over at Athena Sleeps In's house. We're going to be doing homemade pot stickers. We're going to be
Oh.
yeah, we're going to be cooking up some goodness, dude. We should be. I think we might even do a. I'm going to talk to her about it, but we might do a grocery stream on Thursday to
Cool. Okay.
get all the prep
Yeah.
stuff and get prepared. Um,
Feel free to post any information about anything fun you're doing on my Discord server. If you want to do at
dude.
here or at everybody, you're allowed to post wherever you want.
Oh, I appreciate that, dude. Thank you. Right on.
And yeah, and I will if I know what's going on, I'll try to help you out. I mean, I will know what's going on, so you know. I mean, I might. You
I
never
mean,
know if I'm gonna know what's going on.
I'm surprised that I even on half the time. But
For
but yeah,
real.
I'm doing that Friday, and then yeah, man, are we doing Fall Guys this week?
Yeah, you want to do it Thursday?
Uh,
Thursday's better
th-
for me this week.
Thursday's gonna be better.
Thursday, if it's later around like 5 when we normally do it, that would be primo.
And is any time after 5 okay? Because we can because
Yeah.
I'm gonna be doing the running around with Athena
Oh,
thing.
okay.
So
Is Thursday not as good for you,
I, I,
or
I can manage. It's just as long as it's after 5. I don't know if you got like I don't know, but probably not like a late stream, but like maybe until
after
like
5 is absolutely fine.
all
That's
right,
absolutely great for Thursday. Yeah,
all right,
totally
cool.
fine with
Well
me.
then
Yeah,
we'll plan it Fall Guys Thursday at 5 after 5, and then
sounds great. Yeah.
we'll jam it out and we'll discuss some more Fortniting and things like that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'll talk. I'll take a look at one of your Fortnite streams, and we'll see. Yeah.
I think I got one up on in my past my vods.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, they should be up there. So yeah, give it a look. See, it's the only stressful thing is building. Building's the only stressful thing with Fortnite that I can never really get down.
Okay. I gotta tell you, it's not. It's not. It doesn't sound like the kind of thing I'm gonna be into
And
doing.
and, and that's totally
I
fine.
just. I gotta give. I got. You know. I mean. I'll give it. I'll take a look at your stream and stuff. But I'd really. It feels like the kind of thing. Fortnite feels like the kind of thing I'm not gonna just kind of just on a feel.
It's just what the kids are doing these days, you know.
Exactly, and that's one of the reasons though. So
Yeah.
I'm not. You know. I don't shit on something just because it's what the kids are doing, but
Yeah,
sometimes what the kids are doing is not too much what I'm into.
I mean Tide Pods. Come on, that's there's a line, kids.
Yeah.
Oh man, Hoppy here. What's up, Hop? I'm gonna say you just caught us at
What's
the
going
nick.
on?
But
Fortnite is the bomb diggity. Okay.
I am a kid. Sure you are, Hop. At heart. Oh man. But yeah, bud. It's been a good discussion. Then so yeah, you got anything coming up? Any soapy things coming up?
uh No, I'm pretty much done for the year, but yeah, I mean,
You're done so far
I'm
this season.
more or less. I've packed up my stuff. I've mailed a bunch of stuff out. We're talking about maybe doing a soap stream on Tuesday, but we might not because it's going to be right after Christmas. There might be family
Right.
around, so I might be done for the year. But as always, CuyaDK.tv. You can follow all my bullshit from there, and if we do any, but right now, I think I got a little bit of running around tomorrow. I got to pick up one gift. I got to replace my blown tire
Oh
and
no.
do. But after that, through Christmas, through New Year's, I am zoning out. We'll play Fall Guys. I'll think about playing Fortnite.
Oh, dude, do your thing. Not a big deal, dude. Good luck with the
But
car,
yeah.
but I didn't realize you blew it.
Oh yeah, I was talking about it in Discord, but yeah,
I must have
that
missed
was
it.
that was one of the things that happened to me today. I fucking blew a tire. So
Oh.
other than that, I'm on easy street. I'm done for the year. Other than that,
Hell yeah, buddy.
and then one last piece of Christmas stuff, and then Christmas, that kind of shit. But
Fair
I'm
enough.
just gonna be chilling. Other than that,
All right, cool deal. Well then, well yeah, and, just for the sake of traversing through time for an outro, I'm Thresh K Shu and this is CuyaDK. We're traveling through the space-time continuum. I thought that was weird. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Have a good one.
thanks so much.